Hey there, my fellow designers and creatives. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another video in the super ultimate guide to design systems. In this video, we're going to go ahead and learn about textiles. I've already made many videos in the past about textiles, but in this video, I'm going to teach you a different approach to look at textiles and how we're going to use it when designing the screens for Airbnb. So without any further ado, let's get started. All right. Now, there are two ways of setting up your textiles. And these two ways have been defined by Google in their material design guidelines and by Apple in their human interface guidelines. The naming structure and the naming convention is different for both of these. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what works for you. So pick one. And if it doesn't work and you find it complicated or you find it confusing, just pick another one, right? Whatever works, that's what you need to pick, because the design system is all about making sure that there is enough proper communication and it shouldn't complicate or make designers' life crazy, right? That's the whole point. Now, Uber has followed material design's naming convention, right? And I want to explain what that is and show you a couple of interesting things as well. And then later, we're going to look at the human interface guidelines directly. So what you see here is that Uber has split their textiles into 4 categories, right? I'm going to show you what those 4 categories are. You have something called as display. Then you have something called as headings. You've got something called as labels. And then you've got something called as paragraphs, right? Now, as you can see, in total, they have 16 textiles. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, more than 16. So here itself, we have 10. This is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Right? So they have a total of 18 textiles. Now, does that mean that when you're designing screens, should you use all the 18? Absolutely not. Now, the reason it's categorized like this is because each category has a use case. And I'm going to explain what that use case is. Now, when you're designing your app, should you have 18 textiles just the way Uber did? No, you can even do away with just 10 textiles, right? And can you have 24 textiles? Of course, you can have 24 textiles. But the more textiles you have, the more complicated it becomes and the more hard it is. Now, Uber is a big product. You know, they have web product, they have internal tools, they have mobile apps, they have multiple types of services that they provide. So it's a huge product altogether and it provides a lot of services, right? So sometimes there might be use cases where just, 6 to 10 textiles might not be enough, right? So that's something that's really important to understand here, all right? Now, if I come down here to the overview section, what you can see here is that, as you can see, you have four types of textiles. And the use case is mentioned over here, right? So the display is the largest text on the screen is reserved for short and important text or numerals, right? Numerals definitely means numbers and important text, all right? Heading is used to break up content into sections and provide a clear hierarchy of information. Headings are mainly for sections, right? When you want to categorize one piece of section from another section, that's when you want to use headings. Label is a short phrase or a sentence that provides context of a specific block. Now think of a list item, right? If you have a list item, you have a title and you have a description in the list item. 99% of the time, or pretty much 100% of the time, you'll be using label as the title for the list item. And then the description is going to be a paragraph. Then, as you can see, it says mainly for text-based content, larger forms of text, you use a paragraph. Now, they have defined a scale that they have used. We don't have to look into all of this, right? And what they've basically done is they've created tokens, right? So they've created X small, medium, large, X large, and, XX large, right? Now, this chart might be really confusing because basically what they have is they have 4 categories, as I mentioned: display, heading, label, and paragraph. And each of them has a token. So paragraph X small is one token. Label small is another token. Heading medium is another token. Heading large is another token. Heading X large is another token, right? So basically they have all these permutation combinations and the total of this should come up to 18. So let's see if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? So totally 18 textiles is what they have, right? Now, the reason they also have that is because they have 3 fonts itself, right? And if you come down here in the usage, you can see how it's being used, right? So display is basically like the main title, the main section, right? It's a one-liner, right? Or it can depicting a number. That's when you want to use display. You want to use heading when you want to have when you have multiple sections and each section has a heading. That's when you want to use this heading. You also have label, which is basically the most common information that's available in any interface. And then you have paragraph, which could be like a description, as I mentioned over here. It could be a description in a list item, or it could be a paragraph text, right? Now, there are also a couple of rules over here that they have defined. You can definitely go and look into all of this if you need. As you can see over here, this is going to be our heading, right? So if you were to look at all of them again, so you have display, you have heading, you have label, and your paragraph, right? Heading is basically the section. So you have favorites, this is heading. Other places, this is heading. Home is going to be label, and this one is going to be paragraph, right? The description is going to be paragraph, right? And they're using mono over here in tables, right? So the most important thing to take away from all this is that you typically have 4 types. You have displays, you have headings, you have labels, and you have paragraphs. Now, the question is, do we have to structure our entire text styles in this format, right? Do we have to have multiple tokens for display, multiple tokens for headings, multiple tokens for labels? The answer is it depends on your use case. If you find it easy that this organization is simpler, go for it. If not, we'll follow human interface guidelines, which is a lot simpler, and we're going to look at that right now. So here I'm in the typography section, all right? We can come down here to the specification section where you have iOS, iPadOS, dynamic type sizes. Now, what you want to select is the large one, right? The large is the default one. And if you see over here, they just have one category, right? Which is pretty much all the text styles combined together. But they have defined it in a nice way. They have something called as large title. They've called something called title 1, title 2, title 3, headline, body, callout, subheader, footnote, caption 1, and caption 2, right? Now we can go ahead and actually try to categorize these itself into those 4 buckets, right? We could probably have large title as a display, title 1, title 2, title 3, headline as our headings, body and callout can probably be labels, and then subheader, footnote, caption, and all of this can be paragraphs, right? We can do that. And the thing is, just because we use human interface guidelines, text styles, doesn't mean that we have to use only this. We can probably have just large title, title 1, title 2, right? Or we can probably have a title 4 as well, or we could have a secondary large title as well, right? So now let's go back to our app and see how we can make use of this. So here I am in Figma. And what I've done here is I've taken a couple of screenshots. Now, the reason I've taken this is because I want to show you a lot of inconsistencies that are there, which make things really complicated, right? And the whole point of this entire course is to make sure that we remove all those inconsistencies and we have a really crisp UI, right? So I'm going to explain what that is. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write down the 4 categories, right? So we're going to have display, then we're going to have heading, then we're going to have label, and then here we're going to have paragraph. All right. I'm also going to go ahead and just increase the font sizes of this to like 50 so we can see things, and maybe also make them a little bit more visually correct. So probably going to make this bold. This is going to be like, 40 pixels. We can make this medium. Label, we can make that like 24. I mean, don't look at these font sizes. These are just random. And this is probably going to be 20. All right. And I'm going to add some letter spacing here as well. Yeah, there we go. So basically, these are the 4 categories that we have, right? Maybe select this and make this medium. Okay, now we have this text that says where to. Now, is this a heading or is this a display? Now, the easiest differentiation between display and heading is that heading is going to be used when we have multiple sections, right? The heading is going to be used as a title to a particular section. Now, this looks like a heading, right? Because if I were to go ahead and move this, I'm going to get another screenshot really quickly. All right, I'm going to paste that over here. You can see that it's the same screen, and here we were where to, and then this is another section where it's asking when's your trip. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just try to recreate this. I'm going to press T on my keyboard. I'm going to type in where to, all right, and I'm going to make this black in color. I'm going to go ahead and set this to auto and try to match this, right? I'm going to try 32, definitely not 32, 24, no, 28. I don't even think it's 28. Maybe it's 26. Yeah, it's 26 for some reason. I don't really understand why it's 26, but also the font weight is bold, right? So we're going to put that over here, right? So now we have our 1-to-1 match, right? I'm going to come over here and make a copy of this, and we're just going to write it down, right? So this is going to be our heading, 26 pixel bold, right? This is what we have, okay? Now this is going to be the same thing as this as well because it's the exact same font size. But when you come over here, right here, it's a little different. Okay. Now this is actually the name of the entire property. So now is this a display or is it a heading? All right. I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to try to move this over here. So I'm going to say center, just change the color to black. Center place grassland. And this, as you can see, it has a thinner font weight. So I'm going to reduce that from bold to medium. And I'm going to overlay that on top over here. And it's a 1-to-1 match. Now here's the weird thing, right? The font size is the same, but it's actually a medium font weight, right? If I go ahead and set this back to medium, you can see this is a medium font weight. So isn't this a little weird? Now this is definitely not a label for sure. It's definitely not a paragraph for sure, but it's the same font size, but it has a different weight, right? Now let's go to Uber's design system and see if they have something like that, because it's not possible for them to have both of these in the same category. So if we come down here back to Uber, all right, let's look at large, right? They have 96, 52, 44, and 36, all right? And if you look at settings, they have 40, right? So if you have a 40 over here, then they don't seem to have a 40 over here. They have a 36. They have a 36 over here. So this is 36 small. So this is X small under display. And here they have a 36, which is X large. Even though they have a duplicate of the font sizes, they're putting it under different categories. They're calling this heading and they're calling this display, right? So now what should we do? The answer is really simple. We need to understand the use case. Now this is a section title, right? Now because this is a section title, this can never be a display, right? This can always be a heading. But what we can do here is we can go ahead and make this a display, right? And we'll put a question mark at the very end so that we can come back to this later. Now we also have this. This is the section title, right? You have multiple sections, all right? I'm going to come down here and make a duplicate of this, all right? And I'm going to change the color of this to be black. And let's see what this is, right? So this is room in a rental unit. And this obviously seems to be a lot smaller. So I'm going to drop that down to probably 24. No, this is actually 22. All right. Come down, put that over here, right? So now we have another one. All right. I'm going to make a duplicate of this. All right. This is definitely a heading. And we're going to go ahead and call this, this is 22 pixels. We're going to say 22 medium. So now as you can see, we're finally able to get some sort of a hierarchy. Now another thing here is that even though both of these are heading, this is bold and this is medium, right? Now if I come back to Uber, let's see what they have done with the font weight. As you can see, it says Uber moves 700. Now 700 is the value of a font weight, okay? Now all of this is 700. So this is 700, 700, 700, 700. The headings as well is 700, 700, 700, 700, 700, 700. So all headings and all displays are 700, which means it is the exact same font weight, all right? Now, when you come down to labels, it's going to reduce because it's not going to be that thick. You know, labels are really small font sizes like 18, right? And paragraphs also are going to have 400 because it's even thinner, right? Now, here's another question for us, right? Here, both of these are performing the same exact use case. Both of these are section headings. We have three sections over here. As you can see, this is 1, 2, 3. Here, we're also going to have multiple sections. We have like rooms and we have, location. We've got a lot of sections in the screen. So aren't these two supposed to be the same font size itself, right? Why do we have, two font sizes? Now, in essence, we can simplify this. What that means is I'm going to go ahead and just reduce the opacity of this. We can make sure that both of these look the exact same. So we can say that all of these titles, we can make it 22 pixel medium, all right? And keep this also as 22 pixel medium, right? Now, we actually have to see if visually that looks nice, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab this, okay? I'm going to set the opacity back to 100. I'm going to say when is your trip? Okay, I'm going to put this on top and overlay. And what I will do is I'm going to press Shift A to actually put that into an auto layout. All right, and I'm going to add a color so we can sort of just have that text layer. And I'm going to apply this text style, right? This is the text style that we want. So 22 medium. So if I go ahead and set this to 22 and medium, all right, and then I go ahead and increase this. Oops. All right, this is what we have. How does this look, right? Does it look good enough? We can do the same thing over here, right? I'm going to copy this, paste over here, and call this where to. All right, I can come over here and put that over here, right? And we can even do a before and after, right? Let's do a before and after. Select this, before and after. Whoops, let's try that again. Right? So we just look at these two. Which one seems to be a little bit more evident, right? This one seems to be a bit more evident than this, right? So what we can do is now we can define a rule saying that when we have a bigger font size, as you can see over here, all right, like 26 pixel, right? This is 26 pixel. We can go ahead and choose a smaller heading. But when we don't have a big title like that, right? We don't have a bigger title. This is the biggest title. Then we can go ahead and make sure we use the 26 pixel variant, which is very similar to this, right? This is the biggest text on the screen. This is 26, which means the biggest text on the screen should also be 26. But what we are going to do is we are not going to make it bold. We are going to go ahead and make this 26 pixel medium, right? So before it was heading 26 bold, right? This is 26 bold. But instead, because we want to make sure that we want to use the same font weight across each category, right? Display is going to have the same and heading is going to have the same, right? So if we're using medium everywhere, we are going to use medium everywhere else, right? So what we can do is we cannot call this heading 26 medium because both of these belong to one category, right? These are section titles. And this is not a section title, it's a page title. So page title will then come under display, right? So we're going to delete this, and which means this also will go away. And we're going to call this heading 26 medium. I'm going to delete this and delete all of this, right? So now we're setting up our text styles neatly and slowly, right? So let's try to create that. So here, let's just go ahead and make a duplicate under displays, all right? We have our first one, which is 26 medium. All right, display 26 medium, okay? And then we have our heading, all right? All right, maybe I reduce the font size of this to something smaller, all right? And under that, we have two. We have 26 medium and we have 22 medium, right? So we have 26 medium, maybe call this heading, and then we have 22 medium. Now what we can do for easy understanding is we can call this, let's say, display 1. This is going to be heading 1. This is going to be called heading 2. All right, this is probably easier to understand. Okay, now we're going to look at a lot of other inconsistencies. Now here we have this, which is exactly the same as this, but for some reason this has a super thin font weight, right? Everything else is the same. Even here, this title over here is the exact same as this, but for some reason this looks completely different and I don't really understand why, right? So this definitely is a big fat inconsistency and we're going to fix this, right? So again, what will this be? Now this is definitely going to be 26 pixel medium. So I'm going to bring that down over here, and then I'm going to duplicate both of this and put them over here, right? So display 26 medium, heading is going to be 22 medium, right? Now we have these. This is simple. This is going to be our label, and this is going to be our paragraph, right? There is no question about this. This is super simple and straightforward, right? Here also we have a label, right? This is some sort of a title, right? So as you can see, both of these are titles, right? But they have a different font size, right? This is a different font size. This is a different font size. So we'll probably call this label 1. You can call this label 2, all right? Maybe I'm going to put that down as well. Let's see. Now we're not going to do all of them. We're going to do only some of them. And then when we design the whole screen, we can add text styles as we go by, right? So go ahead and create a new one, call this heading, probably drop this to like 30. This is going to be called label. And here under label, we have label 1. I know the font size of that is 16, so I'm just going to call it 16. And then we have label 2. And I know the other one, I think it's 14 or 12. We can check that out. Let's actually go check that out. This is label 2. So I'm going to press T, say other. I'm going to register 14, change the color to white, set it to medium. This seems to be 12, I think. All right, yeah, 12. So here we have label 2, which is 12 pixel medium, right? So just to recap, we have one display, 26 pixel medium. Heading, we have 2 headings. Then we have label, right? And like I said, the most important thing to always remember is that these are section titles, right? This is super, super important to understand. I'm going to go ahead and drop the size of this to like 30 and maybe even reduce the line height. Right? This is super important to understand. These are section titles. All right. This is not a section title. All right. Now moving forward, here you can see that this is the last part of this entire screen. That they are using this heading, which is 22 pixel medium over here. Right? I'm going to show you that. All right. This is, let's say, cancellation policy. All right. You can see they're using that over here. Now, how is this a section title, right? This is a list item. This is as simple as this, right? Which means that this is some sort of rule that they're following, but doesn't really make any sense, right? How can this list item be a section title, right? Each of these are, individual list items, right? This is a title and a paragraph, title and a paragraph, right? Title and a paragraph. So how can you have a heading for that, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the way this looks. And I'm going to go ahead and give it the same, title as this. I'm going to make sure it looks exactly like this, right? And we're going to go ahead and call this label. And this is going to be called label 1. And it's going to be 16 pixel medium, right? And we already have that over here, which is label 1, 16 pixel medium, all right? Now, let's move forward. Now here we have amenities. Now this is a title. Right? This is a title for the entire page. And here, as you can see, we have sections. So we have scenic views, which is a section heading, bathroom, which is a section heading, bathroom and laundry, which is a section heading, right? All of these are sections. And here on top, we have the title. Now, let's check out what is the font size of this, right? I'm going to come over here, change this to black. I'm going to go ahead and call this amenities. Okay. And this, let's turn this back to 26. All right. And I'm going to put that over here, right? And I'm going to set this to bold. Now, this text, as you see over here, is a title to the section, right? Which means that we are now going to make it a display, right? It's supposed to be a display because it's a title, right? And we are going to give it display 1, 26 medium, right? Which means it's going to be the same font size, 26, but we're going to change it from bold. We're going to change that to medium, right? I'm going to put that over here and call it 26 medium. Now, check this out. Here's a super huge inconsistency, right? Now, both of these screens are the exact same level, right? There were many amenities on the screen, right? And maybe I can just quickly show you that. So here it says show all amenities. When you click on that, you get to see the list of all amenities. And even reviews, if we come down here to reviews, it says show all reviews. So you get to see another screen. Now, here's the biggest inconsistency, right? And this happens when you have a broken text style. Both of these are actually the same font size, but they have the different font weight. And let me show you that. So this is 26 bold. And if I come over here and if I just type 22 reviews, right? And I overlap this on top, you can see that it's not matching. And if I set it to medium, then it does a 1-to-1 match, right? So which means for the same level, they're using 2 different text styles itself. If both of these are the same level, why is this bold? And why is this medium, right? You can see that there's such a big inconsistency, right? Which is why I'm going to make sure that this is display 1 26 medium. This is also going to be display 1 26 medium, right? Now we are using medium everywhere. So to make sure that we're going to change this screen, whenever we design the screen, we're going to make this from 26 bold. We're going to make this 26 medium, right? Now, what about this? For this, we can definitely use a section title. So we can go to heading and we can use heading 2 because headings are going to be using a section title. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste this over here, right? Amazing. Now, maybe what I can even do is I can go ahead and apply the font sizes itself. So 26, this is going to make that 22. This is going to be 16 and this is going to be 12, right? It's easy for us to quite quickly look at that. So 26, 26, 26, 22, 22, 22. This is 16. So drop that down to 16, 26, and then we're going to make this 22, right? Amazing. Now this is a list item. So here we're going to add a label. All right. So we're going to add a label. So this is going to be label and 16 pixel. Now here we have a difference, right? Here, this is actually not medium. This is actually book, right? So if I type this down and say city skyline view, and let me just change the color of this to be black. City skyline view. I'm going to drop this to 16 and I'm going to make this book, right? If I come over here, you can see there's a 1-to-1 match, right? But over here, when we looked at this list item, right, I'm just going to copy that, come over here and paste it and put it here in designed by. You can see that there's a big font weight difference, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and make this medium. So here again in labels, we have two types. In labels, we have medium version, and in labels, we also have a book version. So what I'm going to do is come over here, all right? And I'm going to create another one, okay, which is going to be called label. And I'm not going to give you a number yet, right? But I'm going to go ahead and call this 16 pixel book. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you go to Uber's design system, under labels, you can see that all of the labels have the exact same font weight. So 500, 500, 500, 500. And paragraphs have 400, 400, 400, 400, right? So which means that all the paragraphs have the same font weight. All the labels have the same font weight. All the headings have the same font weight, 700, 700, 700, 700. And all the displays have the same font weight. So we are going to adopt that same principle, which means that because our labels, we already found two of them. One is 16 and one is 12. We found them over here. If I want to quickly recap that for you, we found over here. So this is label 1, right? Medium 16, and this is medium 12. All right. I'm going to create a new section. I'm going to go ahead and call this paragraph. And here, I'm going to bring that over here. And I'm going to go ahead and call this paragraph. Oops. 16 pixel book, right? So all of this is going to be medium, and anything that is a book font weight is going to be a paragraph, right? And as you can see, even our headings are going to be medium, our display are going to be medium as well. So I'm going to copy this, make this book, copy that over here, and we can come over here and we can paste this over here, delete this and paste, right? So here we have our paragraph, 16 book for all of this, all right? All right, so this title is going to be 16 pixel medium. This is fine. This is going to be our label 1, right? This is going to be our paragraph, all right? Here again, house rules, right? House rules and amenities at the same level. So this is going to be display 1. Here we have some description. Here we have a section title. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the heading over here as well, all right? Now, this is actually their web view, and you can see there's a big padding difference over here, which is sort of messing things up quite a bit. But this is a web view, and ideally this should not happen, be it a web view or be it native inside the app. It should look the same, but we can ignore that. Check this out. This looks completely out of whack, right? So you have confirm your card, which is a separate sentence, and then your bank details couldn't confirm this card, which is another one. So you've got two clashing, text styles over here, which obviously doesn't make any sort of sense, right? And we can confirm that both of these are 26 pixel bold, right? So if I say confirm your card and make this bold, you can see here that it's the exact same thing. And obviously you can see that this is a 1-to-1 replica, right? So here also things are messed up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and for display 1, I'm going to call it 26 medium, which is confirm your card. And for your bank could not confirm this card, we could try something else. Right now, I'm not going to design the screen, so I'm just going to delete this. We don't know what is the right answer over here. We can do some permutation combination and see what works fine. But if not, we can ignore that. Now here you have trips. Check this out. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make this black. Okay. And if I come over here and type in trips, right? Now, as you can see, this is 26, right? This is the highest font size that we have seen till now, right? We saw 26 bold, but this is not even 26. It is bigger than 26, right? If I go over here and make this big, this is 32, which is a brand new font size itself. Now, the question is, do we need this, right? Or is this an inconsistency? Now, before we do that, I'm going to get a couple more screenshots. Now, we know that trips is a tab, right? It's the third tab. So let me get wish lists, inbox, and profile. All right, so I've gone ahead and added wish lists, inbox, and profile, all the other tabs. All right. So this is trips, right? This is 32 medium. I'm going to copy that, bring that over here, and I'm going to type in wish lists. Okay. Now, if I put that over here, you can see this is also 32. Then here we have inbox. All right. This is also fine. And then here we have profile. This is also fine. Now, the question is, all these seem to be the same, right? 32. And all of these are definitely, display. All of these are titles of that particular page, right? So now the question is, do we just keep it 26, right? We already have 26 over here, right? We already have a display 26. Can't we just use that? Or do we need to really create that new one, which is 32 pixel? Let's dive a little bit more deeper in order to make that decision. If you see over here, this that says upcoming reservations is actually 26 medium, right? So this was 32. This was, if I say upcoming reservations, actually this is not even 26. This is lesser than that. This is 22, right? So as you can see, here in the headings, we had a 22 medium, and then we had a heading one, which was 26 medium. So now you can see here that there is a super huge inconsistency over here, because here we had 26 medium, and then here we had 22 medium, which made sense. We can follow the exact same approach of having 26 medium and 22 medium, right? We can do the same thing over here. This is going to be 22 medium, and this can be also 26 medium, right? But for some reason, they chose to make it even bigger. I don't really understand why. Now, that's not all. Check this out. Here we have the name of the property. And if I type this, all right, you can see here that this is 26 medium. So which means that they made this 32, right? Because then the hierarchy would make sense, right? So this would be 32, this would be 26, and then this would be 22, right? Now, I again personally believe that 26 over here is a bit too much, right? So the way I would do this is really simple. This would be 26, this would be 22, and this I would make it even smaller, which should probably be like 18 pixels or something, right? We don't know what really the font size is or what would work. I would make it like this, all right? So that means I would add a brand new heading, or in fact, I can even make it a label, right? And because that's not a section title, call it a label. And I would probably make this 18 pixel medium. So this is going to be label 1, this would be label 2, and this would be label 3. So that means that if we were to just quickly recreate the screen, we would have display 1, 26 medium. We would have a heading 2, which is 22 pixel medium, which would be upcoming reservations. All right. And this, all right, would be even smaller, right? This would be 18. So we would go ahead and call this label 1. All right. And this would be 18 pixel medium, right? This is how we would go ahead and do this. Now, honestly, if you look over here, all these font sizes are super huge, right? This is really bad design. Where do I look at, right? The font, like this is super huge. This is bigger than this. And, you know, this text is also super huge. Like all of this is really bad design, right? And This is what usually happens when you have a really broken, design system and, really bad text style, right? Because over here, this one, Netherlands, and the title of this is pretty much at the same level, right? Both of these are at the same exact level, right? And maybe this is 18 pixel medium. Let me quickly check that out. I'm going to type in, I'm going to say on him, and make this black. All right. And I'm going to, oops, this to the back, make this black. Yep. All right. This is actually 16, right? So if this is 16, maybe we just make this also 16 as well, right? So then we would make label 1 16 pixel medium, all right? And we would remove this one and we would just go back to what we had before, which should be label 1 16 pixel medium, and this would be label 2 12 pixel medium, right? Keeping things as simple. We're removing as many unnecessary font sizes as we can, right? All right, this is looking good. So then this would be fine. Here again, right? So here we would have display 1 26 medium, and here we don't really have sections. So I would bring out label 1 16 pixel medium, right? Same thing for inbox as well, and same thing for profile as well. Here you can see we have settings, which is section title. So basically we would bring in all of this, right? So display 1, which is going to be profile. Then you have settings, which is going to be heading 2. And here we don't really have label 1. So we're going to call it paragraph 1. And this is going to be 14 pixel medium. Sorry, 14 pixel. Actually, no, this is going to be 16 pixel book, right? Because our paragraph 1 is 16 pixel book. If you check that over here, you can see paragraph 1 is 16 pixel book. All right. It's going to be 22. This is going to be 16 pixel book. All right. Just cleaning this up neatly. This is going to be 16 pixel medium, 26 medium, 16 medium, 22 medium, and display 1 is 26. All right, display 1 26 medium. Now, if you see over here, this screen is the only screen that looks very different to the others. The biggest font size is 26 pixels on this particular screen, but that is behaving like a section title, right? This is, so 26 is over here. 26 will be over here as well when we open this up, and 26 will be open here as well. But in the rest of the screens, we just have 126 pixel, right? Here we have 126 pixel, 126 pixel, here 126 pixel, here 126 pixel, right? So what that means is this is behaving like an exception. Here we have multiple texts with the same font size, and all of them are 26, which is the highest. So in that sense, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to remove this concept of display altogether, right? And then here we're going to have heading 1 26 pixel medium, right? Because if I bring that back, all right, both of these are the exact same, right? So I don't think there is a necessity to actually go ahead and create a separate, one called as display 126 medium. We're going to put that under heading itself. And this mostly is going to be section titles, okay? Or in fact, what I can do, I can call it page / section titles. Now, does that mean we don't want display at all? Yes, we do need them, but it won't be 26 pixel medium, right? I'm going to delete this. Let me show you where we're going to be using displays. So if I come down here to these screens, you can see here, we have this, all right? We have the name of this person and we have this. This is going to be a display. This is going to be a display. This is going to be a display, right? These are definitely not section titles. Absolutely not. So these are just single blocks and pieces of text. Now, if you come over here, right, if we come back over to the overview and if we looked at the information, you can see the largest text on the screen is reserved for short, important text or numerals, which means all of these are numbers. So this would be display. And if I were to go ahead and type this out, all right, let me just set this back to auto. And I don't know what is the font size of this, to be very honest. I'm going to try 40. No, let's try 32, right? So here 32 bold, all right. 840, this is bold, but this is a smaller font size. I'm guessing this is 22, right? There we go. So here we have two displays. We have a display 22. here we have a display 32, right? So I'm going to come over here and add that over here. Okay, maybe just select these two. This is display 1, 32 pixel bold. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and set this to bold. This is going to be display 2, 22 pixel bold, and drop the opacity, font size, and increase this. So we do have display, but most of the use cases are going to be heading, label, and paragraph. We have adopted Uber's naming convention, right? But since in most cases we just have 2 items, right? Now we might have 1 more or 2 more max, right? But most of them just have 1 or 2. So what we can still do is if I come over here and make a duplicate of all of this, right? I'm going to make a duplicate of all of this. Okay. Select all of this, make a duplicate, select this and make a duplicate. And I can auto lay them, put them into an auto layout. We can still follow Apple's naming convention, right? So maybe I can just go ahead and get a quick screenshot like this. And I can come over here and paste it over here. We can still follow this approach, right? So I'm just going to take an example, right? Here I would call this, or maybe the best way to do is maybe I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this so we can see both of them side by side. All right. So here I would call this large title 1. All right. Here we would call it large title 2. All right. Then we would just call it, all the headings would be title 1. This would be title 2, right? Instead of label, here they are using, as you can see, they have headline, body, callout. So here we can call this probably headline. All right. 12 pixel. So we also have a 16 pixel book. So maybe we can call this body. All right. Body is going to be the thinner version. And then for this 12, we could probably call it caption 1. Call it caption. Just call it caption probably, right? So we are going ahead and naming this up like this, or we can go ahead and name it like this. We call it display, we call it heading, we call it label and paragraph, right? But in the end, it's totally left to you on what you want to pick. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new page and add the tokens over here. Now, as you can see, I've already added the radius tokens and I've also added the spacing tokens, and then create a new one called as the typography tokens. All right. And there I'm going to add in all the text styles. Now we can't use Figma variables yet to add these text styles. That's not possible yet. So we have to use our normal text styles that we are using, just like color styles over here. We have to create our normal ones. The ability to create text tokens is going to come in the future. All right, so as you can see, I have created the typography tokens over here. Everything is mentioned very neatly and nicely. Basically, what we just did was we took the ones that were there in the final design system. We took all of this, and then I just put all of that into this. Now, a couple of things that I want to mention over here. Now, these are not the only ones that we're going to be using. We're going to be using a lot more. As we design screens, we might add a few more, but this is for sure it was going to be there in most of the screens, so I've just created them. Now, the second thing here is I have the categories, so display, heading, label, and paragraph. I have 4 sections. And here I've just gone ahead and put some text, applied the text style. I've also gone ahead and mentioned the font size, the font weight, the line height, and the token name. Right now, the token name really doesn't matter inside Figma because we haven't really assigned a variable, right? So we will never be, if we go to dev mode, we'll never be able to see this thing called display large. What we can do is if I turn on dev mode and I click on this element, the actual text layer, you can see that in the typography section, we can see that the color that's been applied, which is irrelevant, right? But we can see the font size, the font weight, and the line height. Now the font weight is 700. Now this is obviously there in code, so I've mentioned that 700 over here. This is where it is coming from. But to an extent, we can get the text style over here by saying display large, right? So when engineers copy this, they'll probably to an extent get an idea of what is the token name, right? So display large and display Raj. This is just for them to understand. Now, the reason I've not yet set the line height is because I want to actually check the line height when we design screens. Now, I'm not really happy with the line height that Airbnb has chosen in their app. And, you know, some of the elements look really squish. Some of them look quite expanded. So there's a lot of inconsistency and I sort of don't really like that. And so I'm going to add the line height slowly when we start designing some of the components which have a lot of text elements. And I'm going to come here and just start applying them slowly. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you did, leave it in the comment sections down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing, awesome content. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So then take care and bye-bye.